It's been a year since I walked out of my studio and never went back. And it's been the best decision that I've ever made as an artist. In that year, 1 in 10 of my paintings started to be way better than anything I made in the studio. Very quickly, 1 in 5, and now most of the paintings I make are way better than anything I ever did in the studio. But here's the thing, I wasn't even trying to make better art. What I discovered had nothing to do with skill and everything to do with going out into the world and making art a lifestyle, painting without waiting for permission. Right now we're gonna get our painting stuff ready, and I'm gonna take you to a little cafe to paint and have a chat. There are 3 things that really get in the way of building this kind of freedom into your life. And the first one is this. You have to lower your standards in order to raise your game. And what I mean is this. We all want to get better at art. We want to be fluent and world-wise artists, like capable of making masterpieces of anything that's thrown at us. But before we can get there, we need to be painting just that. Anything that the world throws at us. Not just the things that are clearly going to make a really good painting. In order to find the fluency that we want in art, we have to open ourselves up to painting everything around us. And when we start, it's gonna be hard, and we're probably gonna fail a little bit more than we succeed. But that's the point. We need to reach the edge of what we can do before we can grow that edge. So lower your standards. Stop making paintings you know are gonna be bangers and start painting the world in all of its honest truth. When you reach fluency, everything you paint is gonna become beautiful because you touched it, not because it's inherently beautiful. And you've seen this before. Artists who are painting the most mundane things that look absolutely stunning, that grip your attention, not because they're innately beautiful, but because the artist is seeing and feeling and painting through the beauty inside of the things that we're painting. And that's the goal. We're looking to find the fluency that enables us to paint the beauty in everything. Not only does this end up helping us create better paintings, but it means we don't spend our time umming and ahhing over what are we gonna paint? Is there anything here good enough to paint? The other way to frame this is to find the things that you think you can't paint and throw yourselves at them. And sure, you probably won't succeed the first time around, but getting good at painting the chaos around you is multiplicative. Every solution you find doesn't just apply to the painting you're making right now. It's going to apply to every other painting that you ever make in some fashion or another. John Singer Sargent used to give his students the exercise of going somewhere, just finding a place to sit. And when they're sitting there, look out and just paint what you see. This is what we're doing. To get better at art, we're increasing the kind of stimuli that we're bringing in. We're lowering the standards to raise our game. And the second thing is we need to stop chasing perfect and start chasing real. This is very much what we're just talking about. Not everything needs to be a finished painting. I love to say that the best way to create bad art is by trying to create good art. Good art is a terrible goal for quite a number of reasons. Not the least of which being that the moment you start to try to label things as good or bad, you stop being able to see the reality of what's in front of you. If I put down a color and it feels muted, I can either say this is bad, or I can just say this is muted. If I think it's bad, then I get frustrated, telling myself that I really should never do that again. But if instead of seeing good and bad, I see cause and effect, I can see that what I did was muted, and that the next time that I want something muted, this is exactly what I should do. I have found that it's at exactly the moment that my students let go of the idea of finding good art or becoming perfect. That's the moment that their abilities and their skills, their paintings really accelerate in terms of being able to get to where they want. But being out there, being out in the wild, going out of the studio and painting things from life really actually helps this in a number of ways. We don't have the time to be in our heads, overthinking everything. If I only have a couple hours to paint and I just have to get through it, I start being able to be more present, more in touch with what is actually happening in the real world. And while I have nothing wrong with working from photographs, the amount of information that's being thrown at me in the real world is significantly higher, not to mention the fact that I'm seeing it with two eyes. I get a sense of depth perception that I just don't receive from a photograph. And my brain, doing what it's meant to do, automatically gives me a sense of focus and priority if I let myself exist in reality and not in my head. So we need to stop chasing perfect and start chasing real. And third, we need to kill the friction and find the flow. When I first started plein air painting, I would go out with my oil setup. And it was brilliant, but it took forever to go out, to set up, to try and clean things. And so it placed a certain amount of friction in the process. Now, the further along I've gone, the more I've been able to find a way to paint with oils that has way less friction. But for me, transitioning to a vastly more portable medium has been a game changer for this lifestyle of painting everything. You don't have to permanently switch, but picking up watercolor or gouache means that you can have a portable setup with you at all times. The minute you get the impulse to paint, you can go out and paint. You can even carry it in your bag full time. If you're comfortable painting transparently, then watercolor is probably a really great way to go. But if you want to bring your opaque painting practices over from oil or acrylic and still have this painting everywhere lifestyle, then painting with gouache might be the answer for you. That's how I'm able to sit here at a cafe where I'm not expecting to paint and just pull out my paints, sit here for an hour or so and paint something I've never seen before. It's about being able to chase our fascinations because there's no friction in between impulse and painting. Now, if you're interested in painting with gouache, I have an 8-week online class for artists who are sick of struggling with gouache and want to become confident in their abilities so that they can have the freedom to take their paint with them anywhere and paint what they want. I also have a free workshop called The Roadmap to Learning Gouache, where I show you how I would learn to paint with gouache if I were to start all over again. Painting from life can be challenging, but there's this idea of deep learning, the kind that sinks into your bones. And it doesn't happen when you hear something new. It happens when you do something new. It happens when you interact with reality, when you get your hands dirty and play with the real world. It happens not when I tell you about some new fancy art idea, but when you play with that idea. The interesting thing is it happens at the output, not at the input. When you fail and succeed, when you iterate, each time being open to what is actually happening. This is why I want to bring my art out into the world, so that when I'm done, I can bring the world back with me. And this is what it means to be an untethered artist, someone who is out there experiencing life, accelerating the way in which they're learning, by not going and doing studies all the time, but by really processing the world through this practice of painting and bringing the world back home. So here's my challenge to you. This week, just grab whatever supplies that you have, even if it's just a pencil or an iPad, and go and paint something out there in the real world. Not from Instagram, not for your portfolio, not for a study. Go out and paint something real. And when you do it, tag me. Show me your beautiful disasters, because that is where the real learning lives. And that is where the real art lives. Like, subscribe, share. I'll see you guys later.
Oh my gosh, it's tonight. Chef Paul.
You got like the reflection on you.
Dude, that was awesome. Our pastry chef was snooping. I don't know if he.
Oh yeah.
If you were in the bathroom, he's like, I think someone's drawing something. So he kind of spoiled what it was. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
worries.